Hey everybody, my name is Paul Eston Jr., aka Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. We're streaming live simultaneously in 3 different locations. A Heavy on Jets Facebook page to over 20,000 Gang Green fans. On our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BoyGreen25, of course. Make sure you do your free part of the program, your participation trophy. Like the video, hit subscribe down below for more fantastic New York Jets content. That includes live streams, player interviews. We had George Fan on the show last week, and of course, insider interviews like this one, where we'll have Will Parkinson joining us in just a moment. And we're going to have a Jacksonville Jaguars preview for you guys this week. With a Jaguars insider previewing Thursday Night Football, the only primetime game currently on the schedule for the New York Jets. Number 1 pick. Number 2 pick going at it from a couple years ago, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, respectfully. Also, feel free to get involved in the comments section wherever you guys are watching. We'll bring those comments in here on the show. We'll have Will Parkinson for a chunk of this show, and then I also will be answering your random questions and conversations and things of that nature. So, guys, you guys can feel free to have that. So we'll have a full-fledged show for you guys today, as we do every Monday, and coming off the Robert Saleh presser, give you guys the juiciest bites from that interview, including several key injury updates. Of course, the quarterback situation with both Zach Wilson and Mike White. I will say this, and this is a conversation I want to get into with Will. I want to put another person on the other side because I feel like there were 2 different narratives being spun yesterday on Sunday in that Jets-Lions game about Zach Wilson's performance. There was one side of Jets social media that said Zach Wilson played like Garbaggio. He looks like the same quarterback he's always been. And then there's my take, and I'll tell you guys this. I thought I saw a different Zach Wilson yesterday. Now, the lull in the third quarter was a part that is unmistakable. It's hard to ignore. But I think there was another part of his game that really stood out. But I want to bring in Will Parkinson right now to explain that other side. And of course, you can follow him on Twitter at WillPaw11. Make sure you hit him up on his podcast, the TOJ Podcast. It's spectacular. So let's bring him in. The Golden Wonder himself is Will Parkinson joining us with the nice collar clean as soon as he pops in the studio.
I did not mean to do that.
How are you?
I did not mean to do that. I was putting on a sweatshirt. My apartment's cold. So how we doing? How we doing today? You surviving?
I am. And by the way, that's the right way. I'm glad that we're on the same page from that standpoint. Whenever someone complains, "Ooh, it's cold inside," I'm like, "Put on a jacket." They're like, "You have a baby." I'm like, "Tell her to put on a jacket."
Can always
I'm
put on
not
more
turning
clothes.
up this temperature. Yeah, we
Can
got bills to
more.
pay, for Pete's sake. 100%. Will, we don't normally do this, but you had a tweet yesterday during the game, and of course, I won't put words in your mouth, but I'll let you speak up for yourself. But I'm going to use you as the opposite narrative to myself. While I was watching the game, of course, on commercial breaks, I leave my phone on Do Not Disturb during the game, watch a game, and when commercial breaks happen, I dive into the Twitter sphere and react and tweet and all this other stuff. And I saw you and a lot of people said at some point during the game, again, because context is important. You could have tweeted in the first quarter for all I know. I don't know because I'm so in and out. But you said that Zach Wilson looks like the same quarterback that he did a bunch of weeks ago. And there's a lot of people who had, so you weren't alone. There's a lot of people that had that take throughout the game, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. And I want to bring that up and have this, tete-a-tete between the two of us because, of course there's that third quarter, which is undeniably bad. I mean, he missed a lot of open guys. But I saw all the explosives, the 50-yard bomb to Jeff Smith, the 33-yard bomb to Garrett Wilson. I mean, there's even more. Elijah Moore's 20-yarder, Garrett Wilson, another 20-yarder. All in all, Zach Wilson had over 300 yards. And I was like, wow, I was just so jazzed. And my engine was revving. The CJ Uzomah, that was the other one, the 40-yard touchdown strike. Was like beautiful, great play design, great Zach Wilson, fantastic. And of course, I was battled in the same demons with the 51% completion percentage, which obviously speaks to the lack of a consistency on a drive-to-drive basis. So I thought I saw a different Zach, even though we saw some of that throughout the game. Obviously, you felt differently at one point in the game, so feel free to share whatever context that tweet came out. But what say you? Let's put ourselves against each other here on Zach Wilson.
So I tweeted that. People got very angry at me, and I get it.
Oh, boy.
I will say this.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson – diehards are reaching Tuanon level passion for like it's honestly impressive. Like, good for them. Like, I try not to get myself too wrapped up in one quarterback or another. I know it's hard not to, but they're really passionate. He's a really passionate backing. It's honestly impressive. And I think you obviously hope it works out here, because the passion of a Jets fan mixed with a lot of that BYU fan base would certainly make a really fun, positive kind of narrative and fan base going forward. I tweeted that after the third play of the game, and
okay, so that came pretty early. Okay.
Yeah, that was after the first two throws. The reason I tweeted that, and I still feel like we saw still a lot more of the old Zach Wilson. We saw some new stuff, and I will highlight the positives. So before anyone jumps down my throat on that, but it was the first play come out. I literally look, or second play, I guess. The first play was a run. Second play, whatever it was, I'm sitting there with my brothers who both play in college, so we all kind of
you were there live, right?
We're there live. Where I see it, I'm like, they have Garrett Wilson. They're playing cover one. They have man coverage with Garrett Wilson. Please go to that side. He did go to that side. I will give him credit. He did take a shot. That said, it just felt like, oh, that's an underthrow. Like, why'd you wait so long to throw it? You just almost lead the guy there. And I was like, all right, it's, still the same with Zach. I don't feel like he's trusting himself. He sees it, but he's not like so assured in his own ability right now for whatever reason, mental, whatever it is. And then the third down throw was just like, he shouldn't have gone to that side. Mims had the safety drop down the box there. Why you're going to Mims versus Wilson or whatever. There was just like, I was like, inaccurate and underthrows. Like, wow, man, like this stinks. Like, I was really hoping the first drive he'd get out. I know it's an unfavorable situation. So again, I'm prefacing, I understand they were backed up.
Right. They were backed up. Yeah.
Side note, Braden Mann is the worst punter in football. He has now cost them, you could argue, just as many games as Zach Wilson's cost them. Not acceptable. As a punter, you should never be talked about. No one should know your name. Long snap. We don't know Thomas Hennessy is the Jets long snapper. Do we ever talk about him? No, because he does his job, and that's part of the job. I felt like Zach got better, as the game went on. But even like, and I know I'm nitpicking here, so again, I understand that. The CJ Uzomah throw, that play design was amazing. No one will give Michael Floyd credit, right? I get it. And I know he broke it off a little early, but I still feel like Zach's like waiting. He's waiting so long because I just don't think he trusts himself right now. And it's understandable why not, right? Like, he's gone through a really rough patch. They don't want him to turn the ball over, all that stuff. But it just feels like he's still waiting. The Jeff Smith bomb, it's like waiting. Okay, he's wide open. Now I'll throw it. I felt like the third quarter, I guess, like the explosion of play we saw, I think Zach had the highest depth of target of like any quarterback in the league this year. It was like 14 or 15 yards an attempt, which is nuts. Like he had the explosive plays. It was, the beautiful throw. The best throw of the day to me was the Garrett Wilson 3rd and 19. Had to have it. Beautiful throw.
That was a gem.
Especially because he had missed a similar throw earlier. I was really impressed with that. I was impressed with Zach's ability to get the big plays, showed the arm strength, showed the physical abilities. A couple of times breaking the pocket, ran. He had the one read option on like the 3rd and 1 or 2nd and 1. All great, really great stuff. The inability to throw over the middle of the field is a huge issue. And I know everyone's like, oh, the scheme, Michael LaFleur shouldn't have drafted Zach. Guys, it's the most QB-friendly scheme in football. John Warford's winning damn games with this scheme. I mean, Baker Mayfield comes in short rest, is able to win a game.
Brock Purdy, right?
Brock Purdy looks like a first-round pick, right? We can go through all those guys. Jared Goff in the same system almost won an MVP. Like, this stuff happens. So I think that's the frustration is there's so many missed throws where I just feel like we still are not seeing like any bit of an uptick in the accuracy. The short to intermediate game is kind of the biggest issue for me. And it was, and I know you've mentioned the third quarter. It's like, he spirals after a turnover. And then, he like floats the one to Berrios and the Michael Carter one. It's great. Michael Carter caught it. And I know Zach's just trying to make a play. I don't want to beat him up, but you cannot do that. That would have that would have been the game. And I just feel like we're still seeing a lot of the same tendencies we saw with Zach through the first 20 games. And again, he was much better yesterday. I'm not blaming him fully for the loss at all. Like, special teams was putrid. Obviously, the defense did not come up. The defense didn't take the ball away, didn't come up clutch. But they obviously, again, they still get up one touchdown to a top 5 offense in football, missing their best player. I don't want to beat them up too much. I just feel like there's still such a disconnect between Zach, and it feels like the offensive line looks different when Zach's in there. It feels like the receivers feel different. I'm so happy that they use CJ Uzomah. I don't know. I know I'm kind of being a little harsh here, and I get that. I just feel like we shouldn't have like these expectations of like the absolute floor with the second overall pick, who, yes, he needs time to develop, but we're approaching year 3 here. It's not as if he's got no talent. He doesn't know the system. He's the only guy that had the same coordinator back-to-back years. There was just so much that I felt like we were going to see differently. And while I love the flashes, those valleys, they'll kill you. And if the two worst, they killed him with the 3 points on the interception, and then a big 3 points. Zach touchdown on himself, so it's not me being unreasonable. They had the awful intentional on the grounding penalty. That's not Zach's fault. That was a terrible call. But then they get backed up again, and then Tyler Conklin's open. It just seems like a 7-8 yard game, right? That kicked them out of field goal range, and they lose by 3 points. So now we're talking multiple drives in which it cost them points. I just feel like, taking multiple sacks in the 2-minute drill. It's just there's a lot of stuff where, again, he was much more improved, but I don't want to go too crazy just because the expectation should be a bit higher, in my opinion.
All right, Will, let me ask you this, and feel free to pass. You have that option to pass in this particular scenario. I normally don't give you that. I normally press you up against the wall and get the answers, as any journalist would. But in this case, I will allow you to pass if you choose so. Based on what you've seen thus far, do you believe in your heart of hearts, of everything you've seen just thus far, through however many games it is now, do you believe that Zach Wilson can turn it around? Or number 2, have you seen enough where you're like, whatever's going to happen, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to turn around. And the spectacular plays that I was dazzled by are too few and far in between as it relates to the consistency on a drive-to-drive basis. Have you seen enough to make it determine one way or another or not?
I won't pass, but I'll give the caveat of 2 things. One, I thought yesterday was a performance. I'll put it this way. A lot of what we saw yesterday is what I was hoping to see from Zach as a rookie. A lot of splash play. It kind of like if you look back at that Titans game, didn't it feel like a little bit like the Titans game? It was kind of inaccurate on a lot of throws. Yeah. And it was like the special splash plays that feels like 5-6 guys in the league make. They just came up, they were able to win the game that day. And so it felt a little different, obviously. It's W, but that day, if you look back at like the game-clinching drive in that game that would have not sent it to overtime, they could have iced it, and Zach missed Corey Davis twice on like comebacks where like, oh, come on, Zach, you got to have that. And it just feels like that's where, to me, where in year 2, I felt like we were going to see a bigger, and we honestly did see a little bit of change early in the year where the middle of the field, he actually was pretty good. And it was outside the numbers, he was struggling. Yesterday was obviously kind of the opposite. Do I think in my heart of hearts it happens for the Jets here and it happens with Zach Wilson? To be honest, at this point, no, I don't. I don't think Zach's a bust yet. I don't think he's this awful person. None of that stuff. And I thought, again, he did play better yesterday. I'm not trying to beat him up. I just think you read the tea leaves, you read the room. I don't know. To me, if Zach was that good yesterday, the Jets would have named him the starter, no questions asked on Thursday. We wouldn't have had this whole song and dance. The fact that they're not naming him the starter, is there really that much gamesmanship? It's a short week anyways. The Jaguars are going to prepare for Zach Wilson. Like, what I mean? It doesn't really do the Jets that much advantage. It just feels like the offense is more in rhythm. I know Connor Rogers touched on this on Badlands and post-game. He used the word, they're just not in rhythm with Zach. It feels like it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So in my heart, as of right now, I know I don't think it works out here, but I hope we see, if he plays Thursday, I hope we see an improvement, and he got some of those big plays, and we see some more, good stuff from Zach. And whether he's here or not, I hope he does well. I'm not positive what we've seen. This roster feels like it's so close to being good, especially when they're healthy. And if they kind of feel like they're about to get into a window here where they should be competing for division and titles. And I know it sounds crazy, but look back at 2008, look back at, some of these I know someone referenced it the other day. Your window only is so long. And can you, defense, I think this better than anybody. Defense year over year doesn't always translate, right? Like the Jets defense, Jets defense, although it was a good point made at, the Jets defense doesn't exactly live on turnovers and health, and they've kind of not really gotten either, but they should be somewhat of a similar unit next year. No question. They probably should still be a top 5 defense, but you hope the offense takes a huge step. And I just don't know that you can go into year 3 and think he's going to take this huge step, because we were hoping a big step this year. And I don't just really know if we've seen that.
It's fair enough. Let's go to YouTube Super Chat, in which, by the way, this feature is always available. Look at that golden ticket, baby, for the holidays. Sweet. All right, all right, Soraya, you could get a present this year after this YouTube super chat just came in, baby. So, Rod Smith, thank you so much. Again, that's available for all you guys on YouTube if you guys would like to show your support for the show. And the free way to do so, again, like the video, hit subscribe. Rod Smith, beautiful. Thanks, baby. And again, happy holidays. What do you guys think is the reason why Zach is missing his target? Zach was one of the most accurate passers in the history of the NCAA. Why the difference? The only thing I'll sprinkle in here before Will speaks is everyone has been talking about the reason why Saleh benched Zach Wilson earlier in the year was, of course, the accountability comments, but more so
his play on the field.
Right. His play on the field straight up, but the erosion somewhat of his fundamentals. And it was weird because coming in, all the BYU people I had on the show, like Aaron Roderick, his former coach at BYU, he said, again, the mechanics are super clean. So to see them super clean in theory coming in and then the erosion, that also has been a troubling figure of why the erosion. But, Will, I'll let you have the first whack at the pinata here with this question.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I don't know, Dan Orlovsky did a breakdown. People like him or not. That's not my prerogative. I'm just, you know, I think he does a good job. He's played in the NFL for 15 years. He probably knows a little more than me or you about quarterbacking. And
sure, yeah.
He just always keeps pointing back to Zach. I wrote about it. I put a column out of it's Zach's footwork sometimes is just, I'm not calling him lazy. I'm just prefacing that. Sometimes his footwork is lazy, and it felt like it's like he's, you know, one foot's facing this way, then one foot's facing the other way. It's like, or it's, you know, it just not being so adamant about, you know, getting his footwork in place. And I feel like that leads to a lot of the inaccuracy, a lot of in the touch and all these different things. And that's where I would say, you know, the biggest reason for maybe his accuracy and missing targets and stuff. And when you're not confident, you don't let the ball rip the same way. And if your fundamentals and your confidence are both off, it's really hard to be, you know, accurate, especially in the NFL. Again, the BYU offensive line was fantastic that year. He was able to, there was not really any panic in his feet. And it feels like right now, sometimes he did a good job. I'm not bashing him for yesterday. There's still these times where one foot's facing one way, one foot's facing the other. It's a bit of a lackadaisical kind of sidearm, right? Or, you know, the interception, like if you're going to throw that, you better put that in a seed. And it was
correct.
Kind of floated up there. It should never have been thrown, but it was floated up there. And, you know, it was kind of this, you know, we'll just do one of these. And they're sitting in cover too. And the guy's like, really? You're going to throw this? Okay, sweet. That's the stuff where you'd like to see Zach kind of do better. But then again, he makes throws like the touchdown that are special stuff that very few guys can do. That's what's frustrating.
Yeah, Rob, the thing I would say, and again, I in the same prefacing that Will did on a couple of his points, saying, again, the footwork was lazy, not the quarterback. I feel like one of the things coming out for Zach Wilson, it was the cockiness. Again, I'm not so sure he's just this super, I haven't met him enough times to be able to say, oh, wow, he's a super cocky guy or not. But the fact that he has the ability, and all these pre-draft guys are saying, oh, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, that I feel like a lot of the times he relied on his own talents to get the job done as opposed to doing the proper footwork. Okay, if I plant my foot here and there, I can do this, but I'm Zach Wilson. If I go off my back foot off platform, that's sexy. I can do that. I feel like he relied on that too much. And then once we get into this season where people are questioning him left and right, I think he was in his own head. So when he's making all these throws, he's just skipping steps and trying to, you know, find ways to kind of, you know, leapfrog some of the things he should be doing normally that he isn't because of that. So I think that's a bare bones problem. So again, a full reset, as kind of Ryder said a bunch of weeks ago on Badlands, that will take a full offseason of, okay, guys, like you were the number 2 pick, kid. Let's see what you can do. And again, not that he's totally useless. Again, he threw for 300 yards yesterday. I saw a lot that I liked. But again, the inconsistency, Zach Wilson even admitted it and showed a lot of accountability after the game about, again, the drive-to-drive basis. So for me, I think one of the big things is the jump from college to NFL. He played the cupcake schedule. He had a great offensive line. So he never even had to think about his footwork because everything was so wide open and guys were wide open. He was just playing backyard football. It was really 7-on-7 drills is what was happening there at BYU. And those were legitimate questions. And now the transition to the NFL. I would say, Rod, that's kind of my gut on the Zach Wilson thing. I saw we had another super chat coming in, and this will transition us to another bullet point on our headlines. I want to get to all these before we get you out of here. Will, is this so many people are saying the season is over? And to be honest, I mean, it was a great, we tweeted out the clip from Badlands last night when it was live. I didn't see the clip live. I just saw a lot of fans telling me, and I saw the score, but I didn't see the play live when we were on the live stream of the Patriots Raiders. I just heard the Raiders won. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. Apparently the Patriots lost in some embarrassing fashion. And as soon as I hit the camera and went to Twitter, I went, oh my God. God, this is terrific. How to get yourself out of a bad mood as a Jets fan is simply watching the Patriots have one of the most embarrassing gaffes in NFL history. So that was spectacular. So to work it full circle, John, to this, that Patriots loss is so massive for the Jets because now they have the tiebreaker, but they're at the same pool. If the Patriots won, they'd be 1 game up on the Jets, 2 games up, really, with the tiebreaker. Now that they're at an even playing field and they have these 3 incredible challenges, now the Jets' loss doesn't look as bad against the Lions. And by the way, that was an out-of-conference loss anyway. So that's why the season is completely full bore, everything in front. If the Jets would have beaten the Detroit Lions, they would have leapfrogged the Miami Dolphins, and they would be in the playoffs right now at this very moment. So all they need to happen for all those people that are, again, talking playoff chances and path, they need to win out. Now, of course, they just lost 3 in a row, so I'm now saying the path there is winning 3 in a row, but that's what they have to do. So you got Jaguars, Seattle, Miami, and then you need the Patriots to lose one of any of these 3. Bengals, Bills, Dolphins, not necessarily in that order. They could lose all 3 of those, let alone 1. So all you need is 1. So the path is perfectly clear there to have it happen. Will, first off, what do you make of their path to do it? How confident are you feeling knowing that's the path? They really don't need 100 billion things to happen to make it. It's actually pretty transparent what they need to happen.
Yeah, I'll keep this one kind of short, obviously, but
Sure.
I think from 2 things. One, the Patriots loss is huge. They basically control their own destiny at this point. I'd be shocked, personally, knock on wood, obviously, if the Patriots went out. So if you went out, yesterday was the game to lose. I know I joked and tweeted about it, but that or the Seattle game was the games you could theoretically lose. They're out of conference games, so it preserves a tiebreaker with potentially the Chargers. There's no layups in this league. We see it every week. So the Chargers schedule might look easy, or Miami's might look easy on Monday or Christmas Day, whatever, against the Packers and all these different things. Mm-hmm. You never know. So there's that. That's one. Am I confident that the season's not over? The Jets have won 3 games in a row before this season. The Jets can win 3 games in a row again. They have to take care of business on Thursday. Nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Do what I feel better about their chances currently, whether people like it or not, if Mike White and Quinnen Williams were both playing, as well as LaMarcus Joyner and others, yes, I would feel better. But Zach's beaten the Jaguars before, and if he has to go beat them again on Thursday, all he has to do is get 1 win. That's all that matters, and they can reevaluate. They have a mini bye after that. They should be able to get a little healthier. Just get through Thursday and get a win off a hot Jaguars team, but they are traveling up to New York on a short week, and potentially playing bad weather. I'm not uber confident they can do it, but I don't see a reason. They've already beaten Miami. Seattle is spiraling out of control right now. They are really struggling and could be pretty much out of it if they lose this week. I believe they play Kansas City, so that'll be certainly a challenge. But the Patriots are going to lose. Miami's probably going to lose again. Like, all these teams are going to lose. This is what happens. Everyone needs to get to 11 wins or 10 wins. You never know. 10 should get you in. I think the Jets could still do it. But I don't love their chances, but I'm not also like pessimistic. Why can't they win 3 in a row? They've done it before. They were as unhealthy as they're going to be all year, pretty much. Yesterday missing a ton of starters, and they still should have won that game. These games will flip, and hopefully they're able to win 3 in a row and get themselves in the playoffs. That'd be great to see.
100%. John, thank you so much for the super chat. So, Will, last one before we get you out of here. And, guys, I will be staying on after Will, so feel free to keep those questions going. Jets-Jaguars, Thursday Night Football. We're not going to have time to swing back with you, obviously, before the game. Even by the next time I talk to you on the radio, the game will already be in the book. So I ask you, what is your early Jets-Jaguars preview? You saw Cam Robinson, big news there from Jaguars land. He's out for the season. That's one of their offensive tackles. And obviously the Jaguars have been playing pretty well themselves. They beat the Dallas Cowboys in overtime, won 2 in a row. They won like 3 of their last 4. They're in a pretty good winning ways and actually have a chance at the AFC South title somehow. So that's kind of wild in its own right. But what do you make of this game? Short week, Jets are at home. And obviously, as you said, a must-win game. What's kind of your thoughts and first off, finally, prediction before we get you out of here?
As of today, I think the Jets are able to take care of business. I don't think it'll be easy. I think they've got to play sharper on all 3 sides of the ball. I think that some tackling needs to be better. They could really use Quinnen Williams back, honestly, more than anything. Obviously, look, again, I'm not positive Mike White's not playing. It just feels like they really want to get him back, and it's just weird. They keep prolonging it. Like, maybe they're just doing it for PR reasons, but like, I don't know. You could have put Mike White. There's a million different things. Mike White was thrown on the sidelines yesterday. It's pretty interesting to watch. But look, I think they ended up winning the game. I don't think it'll be pretty. The weather looks awful. We'll see. It could change. This is what happens this time of year. I think they end up winning 23-17, kind of a sloppy Thursday night football game. It's kind of what we're accustomed to at this point. But I think they get the job done. They get to the mini bye. And I've said this for weeks now. I feel like I said this in the beginning of the year. At one point, I'm pretty sure I said it on your radio station at one point, this season has Jets Dolphins week 18 winning in all over it. I just think it's inevitable. It's like every time you think the Jets can avoid that situation and play that for seeding, it just they can't win. So then Miami, you think they're going to avoid it, and Miami can't seem to win a game. I think Coach Chalice is Zach Truther. No, he's not.
I see that. Yeah, from earlier today. Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, yes. But no, look, I think they end up winning on Thursday. Again, don't think it'll be pretty. The Jets' defensive line should do much better against the Jaguars' offensive line. The corners will do a good job. Trevor Lawrence struggled really badly in the rain, against the Eagles, and the Jets should be able to move the football enough to get the job done. And again, Garrett Wilson versus anybody one-on-one, you like your chances. And I think they get a job done at home on a short week.
I love that. Truncated week for you, obviously, with Thursday Night Football. What's on the TOJ pod schedule for this week?
So Connor Hughes will be on tomorrow, Damian Woody Wednesday and Thursday, Joe Caproso. So there'll be 3 episodes this week. We'll be hitting 1 million downloads this week. Pretty exciting. So I'm hoping Thursday when we hit 1 million, or when I hit 1 million, I guess I'm not very good at talking about myself, that they'll get a W, and it'll be a much better week than last week.
Yeah, we can only hope for that. Will, I'll see you, of course, on Radio Wednesday. But for all our visual listeners that are listening in right now, either live or after the fact, happy holidays to you and your family. We always appreciate you jumping on every week. Appreciate it, pal.
Thanks so much, man. Take care.
There he is, Will Parkinson at WillPa11. Everybody, the show keeps rolling, baby. We're not going anywhere, but thank you so much to Will Parkinson, who, by the way, joins us every Monday. If you like Will, again, he joins us every Monday, somewhere in this early afternoon, early evening window. Every Monday has been all season long. A lot of great insight in diving into this one. We will continue to dive into this matchup. And like I said, later on the feed this week, Jaguars Insider will be joining us here on the show to preview this Jets-Jaguars matchup, the only primetime game on the schedule for now. I do believe with Will, he didn't say it verbatim, but I do believe ultimately that Week 18 Dolphins game is going to get flexed either Saturday Night Football or Sunday Night Football. I prefer Sunday Night Football, and yeah, let's put it all on the line, baby. Winning, you're in. I don't know if my heart can take it, but I'll take that over the 3-10 or whatever we were last year at the same time. That's for damn sure. Keep the questions coming, everybody. I'm going to try to roll through a bunch of these if I missed any before we get out of here. So we're still going to come on, keep answering some of your questions, talk about the Jets-Jaguars game. I will say real quick, let me give a quick injury update, make sure that we check off the bucket list as we talked about earlier. The big one on Quinnen Williams, we'll start there, guys. In terms of that, a lot of positivity on Quinnen Williams. Robert Saleh said today at his presser that it was quote-unquote wishful thinking that Quinnen Williams was going to be available for the Lions game. From a coaching staff perspective, they were hoping he was going to be, but it didn't look likely. So it was 50-50. However, for this week, Robert Saleh said earlier today, it is better than 50-50, and we feel pretty confident he's going to be ready to go. Also, Corey Davis, they feel confident he's going to be ready to go. So some good stuff there in terms of the injury front, which is absolutely good news. Let's go with a couple other injury notes and quotes to get to here on the program as well. We're going to go to our guy, Waz, in terms of these. So again, Quinnen Williams has a chance to play. It looks good as you could possibly look. Corey Davis is, quote, very confident he'll be cleared to play again. He had the concussion. Denzel Mims likely out. He had a concussion in the game. That's unfortunate. Jeff Smith, wide receiver one, Jeff Smith, he is questionable for this game. He looks spectacular stepping in for Mims. Zonovan Knight dealing with an ankle injury, questionable officially, but the arrow, quote, pointing up, according to Robert Saleh. So there are all the major injury updates heading into this one. If I missed any, feel free to hit me up and I will tell you on the side, or just tell you straight up if I see a question in terms of the injuries from that perspective. Mike White, by the way, it looks extremely unlikely he's going to go. Again, Will Parkinson has some feeling that maybe Mike White's going to be ready to go. He has some gut feel. He was at the game and saw Mike White warming up on the sideline. To me, I would be incredibly surprised. Ian Rappaport said he has 3 rib fractures, and I heard 3 rib fractures on both sides, which wouldn't that be 6 rib fractures? I didn't go to school for math, so I'm unclear on that. But nonetheless, a minimum of 3 rib fractures. I don't know what magic wand could be waved suddenly where his ribs have healed. I know some Jet fans probably want to start a GoFundMe to donate their ribs in some sort of surgical procedure before Thursday Night Football, but I don't believe that technology is here. Kyle Benjamin, our Facebook page. Hopefully Mike White can make a quick return. I'm sick of yelling at my TV when Zach misses easy throws. This is a confounding thing for me, Kyle, because I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. We talked about it, Will, on the start of the show. When he misses easy throws, obviously you're pulling your hair out like, come on, it's right there. Like me and you in the backyard could make that throw. But then he makes the spectacular throw, and you're like, holy crap, how the hell did he hit that, but he couldn't hit this? So I feel like because he could do the more complicated stuff, that the easy stuff should be fixable with coaching and figuring it out. Like, wouldn't you be more worried if the guy can't hit the deep stuff and he has just this limited ceiling and we're like, oh, well, this guy can't do anything? Because the reason you take a guy at number 2 overall in the first place is because he can do the spectacular. He has all the tools to be such a great quarterback in this league and lead us to all kinds of great things. But the consistency in missing the little stuff all the time has just been confounding from that standpoint. So, I'm going to be honest. I said it last week. I was excited to see Zach Wilson. I saw a lot of exciting plays, and I'm excited for him to get this opportunity against Trevor Lawrence, the number 1 overall pick versus the number 2 overall pick. We didn't think we were going to get this, of course, because Mike White was playing so well in terms of putting up some of those video game numbers and moving the ball. Wasn't necessarily getting in the end zone. Only had 2 touchdowns combined in the Vikings and Bills game, respectively, as an offense. But I hear you, though. It is frustrating, hair-pulling to see some of those easy misses. Let's see. Matthias, let's get you in here. These coaches should have figured this out at the beginning of the season. Zach could have sat and learned for a year. We would be in the playoffs right now. Maybe, but again, I just feel like we've kind of beaten this like a dead horse. But, the fact of the matter is, that strategy for the most part is not in vogue. People don't, let their quarterbacks marinate and develop like they used to. So, sometimes we see it. Patrick Mahomes got whatever it was, 15 games in that season before he came in the final one against Alex Smith. So essentially he redshirted his first year and then was great. Who knows if Patrick Mahomes, if he gets rushed out there, I don't know. The fact of the matter is, Robert Sauer said this earlier today, that we need to have a level of patience because the tools are there, and he believes Zach Wilson's going to be a really good quarterback. Of course he does. But I do still think he's got a lot of potential. I'm not giving up on Zach Wilson by a mile. I still think he's got a lot to go. Benny, Jets blew it. They were showing chance to make the playoffs at 26%, I think. Yeah, I brought up the Steve Kornacki numbers. I believe it's 25%. I can actually throw that up on the big board here. Let me grab that graphic. Here it is. I'll throw it up on the big board. This is from our guy, Steve Kornacki. By the way, I love Steve Kornacki. I love this guy. I love the khakis. I love the energy. I can only respect it. So I'm going to throw this up. This is from my Twitter account. This is Steve Kornacki. He has all these analytics. He's on the Sunday Night Football Countdown, their Football Night in America show. Here it is. I'll throw this up on the big board here. So you'll see he's breaking down all the path to the playoffs for the AFC wildcard. The Jets entering had a 42% chance to make the playoffs. Losing to the Lions and everything else that happened gave them a 25% chance. And you can see on their analytics on the bottom, the Jets have a 60% chance to beat the Jaguars, essentially a 50-50 chance to beat Seattle, and a 41 chance to beat Miami. So leaning Miami there. But I will tell you this, in terms of the playoff probability, I remember in years past, I think it was 2009, if my memory serves correct, where the Jets had to win, but this team had to win, this team had to lose, this team had to win, this team had to lose, and all that crap happened, and the Jets made it in. Like in this particular case, you need Miami to lose, New England, as you see on this big board here, to lose one of these 3 games, and again, reach right here, one of these 3 games against Bengals, Dolphins, and Bills, and apparently they're favored in the Dolphins game, which is kind of weird, but that must be at home. I don't have that in front of me. But either way, you have these games. No, actually, both of those are at home. So I have those ones are at home, and they're at the Bills for the final one. But regardless, I don't think it's that crazy. I don't think we're really squinting too hard to say, oh, New England wins one of those or loses one of those. And I think they could lose multiple of those games. The Jaguars game won't be easy. But I don't know. I like the Jets at home, short week, and this Jaguars team. Like Trevor Lawrence has been balling out, but he hasn't been playing the Jets defense, and they've been pretty good. They shut down Jared Goff. They had one touchdown, and their only touchdown they had was the 4th and inches play. I mean, I don't know. Ask me this or that or the other, but I love the fact that Trevor Lawrence going against this Jets defense. Like, let's see what they could do from that perspective. So that's another one I feel good about. Let's take Kornacki off for a second, and thank you for that comment, Benny. We'll come back to you in a second. Saw another YouTube super chat come in. Thomas Cahill, baby, love the super chat. Happy holidays, brother. Some good news. Garrett still managed to get 98 yards. That's true. He had 4 catches for 98 yards. We mentioned on the show yesterday, but another record goes down. Garrett Wilson last week now has the most receiving yards of a rookie in Jets franchise history, passing, of course, Keyshawn Johnson. That record lasted all of 26 years in 96. Well, there's a rookie before that year in 1995, Wayne Corbett, of course, and Garrett Wilson now has 67 receptions on the season, beating that 27-year record of Wayne Corbett. So amazing. Garrett Wilson's been having a spectacular season, more than I could have ever expected or hoped for. So Garrett Wilson is having an unbelievable year. All-time rookie record in catches, all-time rookie record in yards. Now, to get the touchdowns, we got 3 games to go. He would need 4 touchdowns to tie the record. I believe that's Keyshawn Johnson with 8. So he's got 4 right now. And again, if he would have had consistent quarterback play throughout the season, I think he would have annihilated all of these, let alone just the missing piece of the puzzle. He's a superstar. If you want a moral cookie, and again, I'm not a big moral cookie guy, especially in December, late December football with playoff implications. I'm not a big moral cookie guy like, wow, we lost, but gee willikers, we've got this at least. Yeehaw! Like, I'm not normally that guy, but I mean, if you want to squint and look at something, Garrett Wilson's a freaking superstar. I mean, he just brings the juice. He's exciting, sexy, splashy. His ability off the line, the wiggle, the body control, the hands. I mean, he brings a lot of juice. Now, some people have criticized him for kind of throwing temper tantrums when he doesn't get the ball, and he's like, what the hell? You couldn't hit the broadside of a barn door, Zach Wilson. You couldn't hit water if you fell out of a boat, pal. I don't know. I mean, I love the passion. I'm not quite sure if I love that in front of everybody, but hey, you kind of get the good with the bad. I think Garrett Wilson is a very emotional player from that standpoint, but yeah, 98 receiving yards, 4 catches. The chunk plays obviously were the theme of this game, and he had a lot of big ones. That 3rd and 19 conversion, good throw from Zach Wilson. The big time one down the field, another one that was like 33 yards. Like, yeah, baby, there's some big plays. So that's exciting. That's exciting. You want to get a jersey? Garrett Wilson might be a good jersey to get for all you guys. G-Dub is looking spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. I see John Galazzi here. Let's go to you, pal. Merry Christmas, my friend. Same to you and yours. Question: if Mike White wins out, do you believe he should open camp next year as a starter? Well, there's multiple questions here, John, because first off, Mike White is an unrestricted free agent to be. So if he won out, though, again, if somehow he played in this Jaguars game, I don't think he is. So really, his only quote-unquote winning out would have to be Seattle game and Miami. Now, if he wins out, I think, of course, the Jets bring him back because they would be in the playoff conversation at that point if they're able to get there. Again, I am not as optimistic with Will Parkinson in terms of Mike White playing. Again, I just don't see it. Maybe. I just don't see it. I think it's going to be Zach Wilson for sure on Thursday Night Football. But again, to your point, if Mike White just plays very well with, these games remaining, I do believe the Jets are going to be very motivated to bring him back. Now, the problem is that there's just such a wide variance in terms of contracts. What are we talking about here? 2-year deal for $20 million, a 3-year deal for $30 million. Is it 35? Is it 40? Like Rich Cimini on his podcast, the Flight Deck podcast, he had Mike Tannenbaum on. They had a kind of a really good conversation about this. And Rich Cimini threw out a number. What about 3 years, $45 million, $15 million a year? Now that sounds like a lot of money, and it is, but that's probably the amount he's looking at. Again, anywhere between 12 and 15 million per year on a deal. If he gets another opportunity, it'll be a little more complicated if he doesn't get any more chances this year. But it would be interesting. But yes, long story short, if Mike White is brought back in some sense and shows something in these final games, we'll see if and when he plays. I believe the Jets would try everything in their power within reason to bring him back, and him and Zach Wilson are battling it out. Open camp as starter, like he's the default guy, but they're both like someone's got to be getting QB1 reps. Yes, I think that is certainly possible for sure. They're not giving up on Zach Wilson, of course. Let's go to NYJ278. Such a shame. If Mike White played, Jets would have won yesterday. I don't think he would have had the same spectacular plays, but from a consistent standpoint, you think about all those plays Will talked about. The end of the first half, he would have gotten 3 points. It's hard to say he wouldn't have thrown the pick that Zach Wilson threw, so that's kind of unfair. He had 2 picks in the Vikings game, but, that's another 3 points that was gifted. And then just some of the wide open guys. You think Mike White can hit the wide open guys. He doesn't normally just miss them by a mile. So yeah, there may have been less splash plays, but there may have been a win. I think that's very fair to say. So that's fine. Let's go. Feed the fat rabbit. Let's be clear. Jets likely blew their shot at the playoffs. Boy Green, I'm not ready to surrender until it's over, but yesterday was a hammer blow to our chances. It was a critical blow, but to be honest, again, if you were going to lose one of the 4, Detroit's the one you not that you wanted to lose. Again, you don't want to lose any of them, but if you're going to lose one, Detroit was the one because, again, non-conference game, and it's just fine. Like, Seattle is such an important game because it's like the second to last game of the season. So if you're going to lose one, this was it. And again, we all talked about going into this 4-game stretch, you need to win 3 of 4. Of course, I think a lot of us assumed that the 3 would be the easier combination of Lions, Jaguars, and then Seattle or Miami. But, sometimes it just doesn't work out in that stretch. But it is interesting. I'm for whether people want to, pass or not, or this or that, I'm still buying in, but don't roll over. King Blaze, Mike White played better in less games than Zach. Again, the touchdown. So he had great passing yards, and the numbers are great. He didn't get the touchdowns. That's a concern. 2 touchdowns as an offense in the Vikings and Bills game. Now, they only lost by 1 score, but if we're going to nitpick in the same way, if we're going to compare their stats, I think you have to show a level of fairness there from that standpoint. Nick Russo. The majority of the spectacular pass plays were great plays by the receiver. Nick, to me, I think a lot of this conversation is all of a sudden now you're nitpicking with Zach Wilson, like you're cherry picking. Because when people say Zach Wilson almost threw a pick, but Michael Carter saved him, every quarterback in the league has plays in their game. Like, for instance, Jared Goff had a near pick to Michael Carter. Michael Carter dropped it, but no one's talking about, oh, well, he almost threw a pick, but he didn't. He had 0 picks. He didn't throw a pick, but he almost did. We could do the almost game all day long in terms of that. And in terms of spectacular plays, well, all his receivers made great plays. Did the quarterback make a good throw? Did the receiver make a great play? The play happened. He threw it in the vicinity. The guy caught it. And by the way, the spectacular pass plays, which, by the way, I don't know if I would agree with CJ Uzomah. Did he make some crazy play? No, I think Zach Wilson put him on him. Jeff Smith, great play. He threw it up to him and he caught it. The Garrett Wilson one had hands, but he's a receiver supposed to catch with his hands. So I feel like at that point we're kind of, we're arguing about semantics of trying to denigrate what Zach Wilson did because those players made plays. I don't know. Here's what I'll tell you. The numbers are spectacular. He had the chunk plays. He had 9+ yards per attempt. You got to give him credit for that. He had the 2 touchdown passes. He had 300+ yards passing. Now, you want to criticize him, 51% completion percentage is a place to start in terms of the passing numbers, but I'm not going to question the great play by the receiver and anyone would have been fine with this or that. Like I said, I think if you go through each of the passing plays, and even the majority of them, Zach Wilson threw the ball. It wasn't I would be with you, Nick, if on a couple of these plays, the guys were making one-handed catches, it would have went out of bounds, but the guy caught it one-handed. That's not what happened on the majority of the passing plays. So we'll have to respectfully agree to disagree on those ones. I think he put them in good spots on those. There wasn't ones where he threw it like it would have been picked and the guy took it away. The receiver took it away from the defender. And I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I'm just saying that I didn't see that. So to me, I thought the quarterback did his job for the most part. Again, hitting 1 out of every 2 passes is not good enough. 50% completion percentage, 99% of the time is not going to be good enough. Although it was nearly good enough, Zach Wilson gave his team the lead by 4 points with 4 minutes to go. In a certain sense, despite all the deficiencies, Zach Wilson did his job of putting them in position. Could he have been better? Of course he could. But the punter couldn't have hit a worse punt. The 4th and inches play. I mean, there's some of the coaching game management decisions at the end. There's a lot of things we can point to on that. To me, Zach Wilson is not the reason why they lost. He's not the sole proprietor. He's not the main reason. There's a lot of reasons why this team lost. So I would just say that from that standpoint. Zach is still better than Trevor, BYU fan. Interesting. I'm not sure I would go that far, BYU fan, but Trevor Lawrence has been playing spectacular. But I will say that Zach Wilson did show a lot of strides yesterday, at least in my opinion, that I really liked. Let's see. Defense and special teams crap the bed. Yep. Zach is a good backup quarterback for us Jet fans. Well, we'll see what happens next year. But I think he is a talented kid you got to continue to develop for sure. Intentional grounding my ass. Yeah, in terms of that. Again, when he threw the ball, I went, Again, there was Garrett Wilson that was like 4 or 5 yards away, and then the deeper one, I don't know if there was Elijah Moore, like horizontally deeper. So again, I've seen much worse or much less intentional grounding not called, where like it wasn't. Like, I've seen much worse than that, and they're like, where's the flag? What the hell? And they don't throw it. So I've seen it both ways, but for that one, I think it was kind of ticky-tacky from that standpoint. No running game made us one-dimensional, 100%. There was zero running game to speak of. They had 50 yards. Donovan Knight couldn't find anything, and he got hurt ultimately at the end of the game. That was tough. Let's go to this one. This one is interesting. The Highlander Prime. Zach Wilson's had 21 interrupted games in the NFL. That's 1 season and 4 games, not even close to 2 seasons. It's quite possible the Jets seem to be the wrong team to groom Zach Wilson. No patience here. I would say there's no patience anywhere, to be fair. I would say in general, I think this fan base has had too many young quarterbacks in a row. Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, and all these Bryce Petty's and Christian Hackenbergs and all these young guys. And as each one of them failed, the patience for Jet fans has worn thinner and thinner. Again, for me, I'm fine having patience with Zach Wilson, but I know the majority of people do not. So it's just getting thinner. So it's a tough market in general in terms of New York. But also the fan base has been worn down by all these young quarterbacks. They haven't been diving in the veteran pool from time after time. So I think that hurts. But in general, in the NFL, you don't get a lot of time to develop. And that's a shame. Robert Starr kind of talked about that today as well. So I would just say that. Seeing some of the questions about BYU's schedule, the cupcake schedule. Mel Kiper said it was a cupcake schedule and so much... he said it was so much cupcake that Zach Wilson got a sugar rush from the lack of people he was playing. Interesting. All right, I'm seeing another YouTube super chat come in, guys. Again, we'll be on for another 10 minutes or so. So if you have some funds in the piggy bank you want to use, feel free to throw in the YouTube super chat. Help support the show. Of course, a free way you guys can all contribute. All of you watching right now, hit the like button, hit subscribe down below for more great content. Again, we had George Fan on the show last week. We do live streams. Insiders from the opponent join us as well. So feel free to do that as well. Daniel Faust, YouTube super chat, and you'll see it right here, that little symbol. He is a member of the Boy Green Super Fan Club, which is a way every month you can contribute and support the show. So, Daniel, I really appreciate that, pal. Thank you so much for digging into your pockets. Who can we get to challenge Zach next year? Is Mike enough? Great question, Daniel. Let's go through it. Zach Wilson's the only quarterback under contract for the Jets next year. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of who they're going to add. They're going to add bodies to the room. Now, is it bringing back Mike White? I think that's the Jets' intent, unless the money gets really crazy. And I think it depends how Zach Wilson finishes, Daniel. Not to cop out on the question, but if Zach Wilson looks like he did in the Lions game, I don't think there is an aggressive need to go like, let's trade 100 first-round picks to go get this guy. I think the Jets can convince themselves like, well, like it wasn't terrible. Like there's some Zach Wilson here we can work with. Let's bring him back. Let's bring Mike White back. And let's bring in a random third guy. Is it a mid-round pick? Is it a low-cost veteran like a Jacoby Brissett maybe? Like let's let them all compete and figure it out. However, if Zach Wilson stinks and Mike White doesn't come back for the sake of this argument, like doesn't come back this year because of health reasons, and it looks bad, like the Jets lose a bunch of games, they finish like 7-10 or 8-9 or something, then I think the Jets go, okay, we need to, like the winning window that Will Parkinson talked about earlier, we need to be aggressive. Let's go after Jimmy Garoppolo. Let's go after Lamar Jackson. Let's go after Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Throw names at the wall, guys. We need to win right now. We got a Super Bowl roster. Let's get a quarterback in here. Let's go win some ball games. I think it's going to depend on these next batch of games. Again, if the Jets show signs of life, if the combination of Zach Wilson, Mike White gets them to the playoffs, I think the Jets are probably going to sit back and go, you know what? We could probably do this. Now, maybe they will consider those bigger swings of the bat, but I don't think they're going to be as motivated if they get some semblance of competence down the rest of the season. If it implodes, everything's on the table. Everything is on the table. And by the way, I wouldn't be mad at, let's play the scenario out. Tom Brady, I don't think he's coming here. But let's say Tom Brady for a year, Zach Wilson just learns behind him, mentors behind him. If Tom Brady gets hurt, he steps in, and he just learns from him. And bring in back your Mike White, I guess, if money's reasonable. And then you have those three, and that's your quarterback room. Is that the worst thing in the world? Do you have an immediate guy right now and then a guy to learn? I don't know. And then you have this Mike White guy. So I think it depends on next batch of games, Daniel, to be blunt, for sure. Thank you so much for the question. Happy holidays, pal. So that's what I would say from that. By the way, during the game, Zach Wilson revealed the names because he said it at his press conference, but he didn't reveal who the names were. I guess no one asked him. But Zach Wilson said that during this benching, again, this before we know that he's going to be the starter again, because he was just promoted from QB3 to QB2. We didn't know what was going to happen. But he said he reached out to a lot of former quarterbacks that have been through this sort of thing before being benched. And we learned on the NFL on CBS broadcast that those names were Kurt Warner, Drew Brees, Steve Young, of course, the BYU connection, but Kurt Warner, Drew Brees, and Steve Young were all guys he reached out to kind of pick their brains and get tips, tricks, and everything on being benched. It just seemed like from that perspective, there was a lot to be learned there. All right, let's go through a couple more here. Charles M. Gardner Minshew, he will be out there, but there's got to be a reason he's been a backup. I know us fans are infatuated with Gardner Minshew, and he's put up some reasonable stats when given the opportunity, but why do you think he's been a backup this entire time if he's this hidden gem? So that's my only kind of look at it sideways kind of thing on Gardner Minshew, but I get it. I get it. Let's see. Let's go to Cogdas K Jr. or Kair. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Hello, I'm a Jets fan. I've been a fan for 3 years. Love the team, but I don't think Zach Wilson is not the quarterback that we should use, in my opinion. But we have to win against the Jags. 100%. It is must win. If you lose against the Jaguars, the playoff hopes are poking the Pillsbury Doughboy in the belly button. That's it. Air out of the balloon. Wind out of the sails. That's how important this Jaguars game is. Again, the path for the Jets to make the playoffs is winning out. So if they lose the Jaguars, it's over. And again, so I hope that pressure, I hope the playoff atmosphere, I hope the fans that are going to be there in prime time, I hope everyone kind of absorbs that. Jerry Kirby, Jimmy G, Derek Carr. Jimmy G, he's coming off the broken foot, so that's going to kind of throw a weird wrench into it. But of course, the Jets got to do their homework there with all the connective tissue. Derek Carr, it'll be interesting what the Raiders decide to do. He's under contract, so you'd have to trade for him. What does it cost? How costly is it? I don't imagine a first-round pick. Is it a second, a third, a fourth, some conditional nature? I'd be interested because he's put up a lot of video game numbers and Pro Bowls, and you'd think with the improved roster around him, they'd be really good. So I'm intrigued by Derek Carr. Maybe. I want to know compensation in terms of draft picks the Raiders are looking for. Jimmy G, again, the Jets are going to do their homework on Jimmy G. How could they not? But we'll have to see in terms of the foot. The broken foot is a huge wrench into their plans. And Jimmy G in general, that's another thing to think about, the durability. He has been hurt throughout his entire career. The only time he wasn't was their Super Bowl run in 2019, I believe, is the year. I think it was 2019 is the one year that he wasn't. So that as well. Feed the Fat Rabbit. Over 100 people watching, only 29 likes. Hit the gosh darn like button. Yes, baby, do your participation trophy here on the holiday weekend. You guys can help us grow the channel. We were getting close. Let me get an updated number here live. Maybe we can celebrate live. We were getting very close to 3,000 subscribers. We were getting very close. Let me see if we have passed that number. Let me see real quick. Wow, we're at 2,999. Tell your grandma or somebody to hop on the gosh darn YouTube channel. We are literally one subscriber away currently at this very moment from 3,000 subs, baby. So yeah, get call your grandma, call your me-ma, call somebody on the phone right now. Say, go subscribe to that Boy Green's YouTube channel ASAP. So yes, I love it, baby. And by the way, the support has been spectacular. I'll tell you, back during draft season, because I started this YouTube channel very late for those who don't know, but back during draft season, we had Connor Rogers on in March, and I said, Connor, we're trying to get to 1,000, just 1,000 subscribers. And he gave us this big plea, man, you should have 10,000 subscribers. Go subscribe to Boyd Green's channel. And then the draft season went great, and this season's gone really well. And we've nearly tripled our subscribers from then to now. So it's an ode to you guys, the fans, that you guys have thought as much of this show and have had a lot of fun. So thank you so much. So yeah, we're nearly at 3,000 subscribers. So hopefully we can get to that by here the end of the show. That'd be great. Benny, I always hit the like button. I appreciate that, pal. You're the best. Let's keep going here. Jimmy G is coming, Brian J. I could see that. I could see that for sure. Again, the foot thing would be the only thing. Jet Up Buttercup. That's a great YouTube channel, YouTube name. Zach will be starting in 2023, whether you like it or not. And I like it, to be honest with you. I mean, I want to see how the season ends, but I wouldn't be mad at it. I think the kid's got a lot of potential, to be honest with you. Let's see. Benny, Tom can barely move. Our offensive line will get him killed. Well, I will say this. Our offensive line is going to get better because Elijah Tucker, of course, is going to come back. Mekhi Becton, you got to hope he comes back healthy. I think you got to re-sign Connor McGovern. Lakin Tomlinson's going to get another year. So the offensive line is going to get more healthy, and you just got to hope next year that you aren't absolutely annihilated by offensive line injuries. And hopefully that is the case. So that would be nice for once. Well, let's go to Cogdas again, Kair. Hello, I'm a Jets fan from the UK. Oh, I see. In my opinion, Zach Wilson has been terrible. I don't think he's the quarterback that we should be working with. Oh, some clarity on that earlier. But we have to win against the Jags. It'll be 1:15 a.m. I've heard, because I pounded the table more primetime games, but all our international fans are what the hell? That's some crazy time for me. In this case, 1:15 a.m. So Cogdas, man, the fact of the matter, I love you pounding the table here, whether it's 1:15, 8:15, whatever. We appreciate your support to the New York Jets, baby. That's awesome to see. That's fantastic. So, and that's got to be crazy over there in the UK. I love it. I love we have Jets fandom all across the world. That's beautiful. Let's keep going here. Let's get a couple more final comments. I'll try to blast them through here. Let me double check. Let's see the YouTube. Let's see again if we got to 3,000 subs. If I had bubbly, I would pop it if we're there. 3,005. Booyah, everybody. Popped it. I only have Gatorade here, but I'll take Cogdas off right quick. Boom. Thank you. You know what? Cheers to each and every one of you. Thank you. I'm not sure how long that Gatorade has been sitting there. Good Lord have mercy. But anywho, that was worth the cheers. Thanks, everybody. This amazing 3,000 freaking subscribers. We're at 3,005. You guys are freaking amazing. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has been awesome. What a wonderful early Christmas gift. This season has been amazing, and there's more to go. I'm not waving the white flag. It's not over, but it's cool. We just jumped over 3,000 subs live on a show. That means the world to me, guys. This is really cool. It's been so cool getting to see some of the regulars and new fans and everything else. You guys have been so cool and so accepting of me. I'm a crazy bastard, and so I really love that. I see Jet Set for Life just subbed. I love that, man. NFT Sniper, I just gave you 3K. Thank you, pal. Thanks, everybody, for supporting the show. Brian J, are we supposed to do a grandma voice to our own grandma? Yeah, hey, grandma, or that was kind of weird. I don't know, I can't do, I thought I could do a good grandma, but wait a second. I didn't mean how that came out, but hey, grandma, can you subscribe to Boyd Green's YouTube channel? That's not even a grandma. I don't even know what voice happened there, but nonetheless, we appreciate that. That'd be great. Let's see. Zach started in 2023. I'm eating a fat sandwich, hot pastrami, baby. Good living right now. Oh, Mr. Green Jeans. What a phenomenal. We need to, Boyd Green and Green Jeans. We need to combine forces here. I think there's a marketing opportunity there. Lawless. Imagine Mike White with more development. I hope Mike White could just stay healthy. I mean, that's a big thing for me as well. Monty coming on. Let's go Boyd Green 3K. It's awesome. Without you guys, it's not possible. The Highlander Prime. You and Jet Central are the best to listen to after a tough Jets loss, Boyd Green. You guys stay balanced without the crazy takes that are regretted the next day. Yeah, that's one thing I will say, and not to trash any other content creators. We have a lot of really cool ones in the Jets community. A couple of them seem to just go a little off the cliff. Like, we could be angry, and I was angry at Saleh on the game management yesterday, but I think, come on, a little of them of like, man, fire this guy, cut this guy, like this guy. Like, for goodness sake, like, let's rein it in, people. Let's bring it in. I think a thing that helps me over some of the other shows, I know Green Bean goes live or he's live during the game. I know Buffalo goes live immediately after. Jake Asman may go live immediately after. I don't know everyone's schedule, but for me, and because of my job, I am almost forced to wait 2 hours after the game because of how our streaming schedule works. So I have to wait. And I'm going to be honest, I kind of like waiting. I get to hear from Saleh. I get to hear from the players. I get to write an article or two and kind of digest everything before I just scream from the rooftop. So I'm very Michael Clemens, if I can use that example of our crazy defensive lineman who, when he hears a question asked at his presser, he doesn't start going, blah, blah, blah. He sits there and just kind of, and then he answers like he thinks about it. So I kind of like the opportunity to do that myself. But thank you so much for the compliment. Jet Central is amazing. JC Money. Oh, wow. So we have a random Raiders fan. Turbo Duran. Hello, Jet fans. Raiders fan here. I just hope Jets lose and opens the door for my Raiders. Hopefully, I hope you don't get mad. Well, enjoy. Again, I will have to say, Turbo Duran, on behalf of Jets Nation, thank you so much for that embarrassing Patriots loss. I'm never going to forget that for the rest of my life. And I heard on Badlands they say, hey, it was better than now the butt fumble's gone. That works for me. Because, like, that was more embarrassing. Like, the butt fumble was dumb, but it's not like it was a game-losing play. Like, the stupid decision by Ramondre Stevenson to Jacoby Myers to middle of the field. By the way, who the hell is he throwing it to? It's like a duck. And Chandler Jones went, I'll take that. And then, boom, stiff arms Mac Jones. Oh, that was spectacular content. So, we're not going to lose to open the door up for you there, Turbo. But I will say, thank you for your contributions, of course, because that will certainly help the Jets. So, thank you. John Hepburn, congratulations on 3K. Yeah, it's beautiful, man. That's awesome. Cheers. That was great. Congrats. Gatorade older than Zach. That may be. That may be. I love that. That is funny. Yeah, it may be because that tasted a little questionable. I'm going to be honest. But it was the only drink I saw. I felt necessary to do some cheers. But Jet Up Buttercup, congrats. Appreciate it. Jet Sets for life. Appreciate respect, my friend. Thank you. I remember 1,000 almost cried. I almost did. I'm not going to, because like, I'm going to be honest, when I jumped on YouTube, the reason why I kept delaying YouTube, and maybe this is a message that we can end on and all you guys can take moving forward. I've done my Jets audio podcast for a decade of just me talking to four walls, and we got some numbers, but like I was doing it for me. And when we did this YouTube channel, the reason why I kept delaying is I'm too old for YouTube. Like, I blew it. Like, I should have done it because YouTube came out in like, what, 2007 or something, when I was back in like, middle school, high school, that range. Like, I went like, oh, man, I should have jumped on it back then, and maybe I could have built this tremendous following. And eventually I just went like, you know what, screw it. Let's just jump on and let's see if people think it's funny or good content or what have you. And then I did it, and I had no expectation. I had no idea where it was going to go. I'm like, I have 10 subscribers. I'm like, cool. I got 10 subscribers, including my mom. But like all of a sudden, then it started picking up steam on certain videos where people loved this or hated this or hated this. All of a sudden, it started picking up real steam. And I'm like, you know what? Let me try to get some crazy guests on the show and all kinds of stuff. And I would say it's never too late. Like, I'm 29 years old. I turned 30 in April. Like, and I have a baby now at home. And yeah, I got really emotional, John. You're right. Because I had no idea where this was going to go. I was just going to take it and run with it and do whatever it's going to do. But I feel happy that I found a place in the Jets community where I feel like you guys can come to and you know what you're getting. You're getting guests. You're getting my takes. You're getting all kinds of live streams and fun stuff with the fans. So I just have to say that we're just trying to pound the table, and it's really cool. Ed Vargas, hey Paul, congrats brother on 3,000. And by the way, part of the Boy Green Super Fan Club. Appreciate that, Ed. That means the world. That's amazing. Rachel just gave you 3K and subbed. Booyah! Flex on it, baby. Yeah, let's get some of the muscles going. Yeah, baby. A little bit of I'm losing some of the definition here. Yeah, that boo, boo, boo. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of that action. And everyone progresses at different times. 100%. Both Zach Wilson and my YouTube channel. I think that's for sure. That's for sure. Where you get that hat, it's fire. Yeah, I will tell you, I got like, and I've said this a few times, eventually I will follow through on it. I'll just do a YouTube video of me going down this hallway behind me. It's right here, or here rather. Boop, boop, boop. And down the entire hallway from ceiling to floor is all these like little hooks that my fiance got me, and they're jet hats. I mean, they're jet hats from ceiling to floor. And every time before I come on a live stream, I just go, what's a good hat here? This one will do. So I've got draft hats. This one in particular is I'm terrible. I'm not sure what the occasion was for this one, but all my hats I get from either NFL shop, the Jets official shop, or if I go to Jets training camp and they're there on the stand, so to speak, when I go into the little mini Jet shop. But I look every time I try to mix it up, try to mix up the look. I like the gray black Nike look. So I've got Jets draft hats from years, just favorite Jets hats I like over time. But yeah, this is a good one I like. This one I changed last second. Wanted to match the rest of it as well. But I appreciate that. Thank you. I up for debate. I like when Asman gets upset. It's the funniest thing. Yeah, he's hilarious. I like some of his stuff too. For sure. Green Boy 3K. Yes, with the flex. Thank you. That's how a few people. I had an intern once say, "Oh man, so thank you so much, Green Boy. It's Boy Green, but I'll take any color. That's great, Thomas Cahill. You go. Merry Christmas." And I want to make sure I don't miss any other stuff here. This is great. Yeah, if I hit anything else, this is going to be great. Keep it up. Green Boy, you're a good Jets podcaster. It means a lot, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, guys, we'll wrap it right there. But like I said, we're going to have some more videos coming up on the channel. Thanks for your support. Awesome getting 3K live on this. I'll have to make sure I tweet that out later and thank everybody. So thank you guys so much for that. But yes, that will end the show. Again, we're having a Jaguars Insider. I believe we had to move that interview to Wednesday, so we'll have that up live for you on Wednesday. Look for it in that early afternoon window for that. That'll be very nice as well. So again, that early afternoon window, Jaguars Insider joining us. We'll preview the full game there. We'll also have the live show 2 hours after the game, late on Thursday night after we hear from all the coaching stuff. So look for that. That'll be a late night Boy Green After Dark. Wink. Affair, and also we'll have some video on the show tomorrow. Maybe I'll get one of my fellow Jets content creators so we can commiserate over some Jet stuff. That'd be a lot of fun. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I couldn't do it without you guys. 3,000, baby. 3K. Boom, 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 boom. It feels terrific, and thank you so much. Whether you're watching this live or after the fact, make sure you like the video, hit subscribe, join the 3,000 crazy people that decide to submit themselves to our content. Again, it looks like Quinnen Williams is going to play. Zach Wilson, number 1, number 2 revenge game. And it's a playoff atmosphere, baby. You got to win to get in. You got to win out and have a chance. I believe the Jets do that on Thursday night. We'll see you then. Thanks, everybody. Peace.